हाँ बताओ शुभम, कुछ बोलना चाहते हो? So, the series faults are nothing but the breakdown in the path of the current, and in the maximum of the time, series fault is converted into the short circuit or the, you can say, the shunt faults. So now, what are the abnormal operating conditions? So these are actually the faults, series faults and the shunt faults. Now tell me, what are the abnormal operating conditions? Can anyone can tell me what are the abnormal operating conditions? So, what are abnormal operating conditions? Can anyone can tell me what are the abnormal operating conditions? Anyone?
So we always have some power going from source to load. If
Mhm.
now just because of the fault, our power will reduce to zero at that point. So this is an abnormal condition. Or in other case, we can say that a power is going from source to load, but due to the fault, sometimes it is going from now load to source. In case of synchronous motor, we can say, then it's also abnormal condition.
Yeah, okay, but you are talking in terms of faults, na? However, if you see that, let us suppose that we have a system in which there is no fault in the system, and sudden there is the rise in the current. Sudden there is the rise in the current. So, is there any condition that you can see? Any condition in our equipment? It is. So, can you observe this kind of condition in this equipment? In any of the equipment like transformer motors?
Yes, sir, sir. In rush current, sir, in case of
Yeah,
transformers.
inrush current of the transformer. So abnormal condition is the inrush current of the transformer. And starting current of the motor. So what we do when we start the transformer, then there is a very large amount of the current, because in that very case it depends on the instant at which we start this energize the transformer, because at that very time it has to cover the distance of that it has to cover the this 2 5, that is 2 times flux, and as a result the current would be very high in this case. We can discuss in detail about the inrush phenomena, total inrush phenomena, but now this time you can see that in a very small amount of the time, that is for a time t, you have to cover the distance of the 2 5. So as a result, the current would be starting at of the transformer would be very high, and as a result, we will have the inrush of the current at the starting of the transformer, and similarly at the starting of the motor, we have a very large amount of the current. So you can say that there are certain inherent conditions, certain conditions which are inherent in the operation of the power system, which are definitely not normal. You cannot say that these are normal conditions, but these are not actually fault either. You cannot say that these are fault. Inrush current and the starting current, these are not the faults. So there is a boundary between the normal and the faulty condition. So it is not so crisp. So that is, we have the normal condition and we have the faulty condition. So the boundary is not swift, because if it is not so crisp, because if you see that if any relay we use, suppose we are using the overcurrent relay for that very purpose, so inrush current of the transformer, it will see the inrush of this current, and as a result it will operate. However, it is a normal condition for the while energizing the transformer. So these are actually the abnormal condition, and this relay must be such that it will differentiate whether it's a normal it's a normal condition or the faulty condition. So that thing we have to take into consideration. And if you see how it can be differentiated, there are different we have to do the analysis of all the things. If you see, take the case of this inrush current of the transformer. In case of inrush current of the transformer, the harmonics are there in the this current. Starting current harmonics are there. So if we see, we have to design the logic of the relay in such a way that if it has a harmonic, then it will not operate for some amount of time. And for a starting current of the motor, we will give some kind of a delay during the starting of the motor, and as a result, it will not operate. Now, and one more abnormal operating condition is the power swing. Power swing also. During the power swing, what happens that our generator inertia is in play, and as a result, the stability is maintained. However, we cannot consider it as a fault. So now the question arises, should the protective relay trip during the abnormal operating condition? So should the protective relay trip during the abnormal operating condition? Obviously not. So these actually, if you see from this, from the current of this inrush current of transformer or starting current of the motor, the current is such that it qualifies as a fault current. However, there is no need to provide protection for them, and the protective system must be able to discriminate between the normal operating condition, abnormal operating condition, and the fault. So there must be some discrimination. Now, other question is that, so can the protective relay prevent the fault? So protective relay cannot, of course, it cannot prevent the fault. Fault is always there. But to a certain extent, the faults can be prevented by using the properly designed and maintained equipment. So it can be prevented by using properly designed and maintained equipment. So it is not possible to totally prevent the occurrence of the fault. Now, what the protective relay is supposed to do? What the protective relay do? So this protective relay detects the fault with the help of the voltage and the current transformers, and it selectively remove the faulty part from the rest of the system by tripping the appropriate circuit breakers. And the relay, in this case, the relay has to do this with utmost selectivity, sensitivity, and the speed. These are the attributes of the protective system, and we can discuss that in detail. So what the relay do? It detects the fault with the help of the CT and the PT, and selectively remove the faulty part from the rest of the system by tripping the appropriate circuit breakers. So the relay has to do with the utmost selectivity, sensitivity, and speed. And however, if you see that in a power system, this is not a everyday occurrence. This fault is not the everyday occurrence in a power system. And what a typical relay, if you see in whole of the life, it spend whole of the life in monitoring the power system. It spends whole of its life in monitoring the power system and for the anticipation of the fault. It means that it waits for that fault. For whole of the life, it waits for that fault, that it monitors the power system for the anticipation of the fault. And if you see that this relay, it operates more number of times during the testing and maintenance. It spends more time, it operates more number of times during the testing and the maintenance than during the actual fault. So you can say that the relay is actually the insurance against the damage due to the fault. Is it okay? Are you able to get it? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, let us discuss something about the evolution of the power system. So if you see the evolution of the power system has evolved from the isolated generator feeding their own loads. 100 of years back, you have the isolated generators feeding their own loads. And now we have interconnected system. And the power system also evolved from a low voltage system to the high voltage system. Low voltage system to high voltage system, it means that low power handling capacities to the high power handling capacities. And as a result, if you see, as the power system is evolving, so does the requirements imposed on the protective system. It is also linked with that. So we have to evolve the protective system also. So as per the new challenges, we have to evolve the protective system also. Now, let's discuss something about the isolated system and interconnected power system. Though isolated system doesn't exist, but still we have to study the basics of that. So there are some issues related with the this isolated system. If the isolated system is very simple, it is very simple. It has a generator and which is connected to the load. You can say that there is no concentration of generating capacity, and this machine doesn't, synchronous machine doesn't have any stability issues. It doesn't have any stability issues as compared to the multi-machine system, because if we have fault, what we do, we will break the circuit, and finally that is out of that. The system is out of that, and there is the total blackout. That's why we can say that it's simple. That is, there is no issue with there is no stability issue, because if any fault occurs, then we will have the circuit breakers. It will break the circuit, and we have the total blackout of that. And so it is. You can say that its control is very simple. So you cannot say that it has this fault will propagate because of that to other system, and it will affect the other system. However, you cannot have any isolated system nowadays. In practical, there is no isolated system, but still we are using, like for auxiliaries, for our auxiliaries at our power stations, we are using the diesel generator, and we are also using the emergency backup. So that's an isolated system that we are using. So that you are nowadays we are using. However, it is for emergency cases only. Now, second is the interconnector system. And as you know that the interconnected system, it means that there are a large number of generators which are connected, interlinked or internally connected, and it is more reliable, because if the fault is there in the system, then the power can be supplied from somewhere else. Or you can say that if there is a disruption in one part of the system, then in that very case, the power can be fed from the alternate path, and as a result, the continuity of supply is maintained. So, however, for one of the important point related to the interconnector system is that it can be economic load dispatch can be implemented by using this interconnected system. So, can anyone tell me what is economic load dispatch? Have you read that? Have you read that?
No, sir.
Economic load dispatch is that what we do at our power station, at our this basically, economic load dispatch, it defines the production level of each point. This plant, it defines the production level of each plant so that the total cost of generation and transmission is minimum. Total cost of generation and transmission is minimum. So what we do, we have the different generators, we have the loadings of that generators, and we can fix the production level of each plant. That is from previously we done while running a program, we know that this be the production level of each plant, so that we can have this minimum losses, and we can have the cost effective generation and the transmission. That is the economic load dispatch. Now, second most important point of an interconnected system is that in case of interconnected system, you can use the different type of generators. You can use the different type of generators. That is, you can use the wind generator, you can use the power from the solar, you can use the different type of generators, and the economic load dispatch can be implemented because of that. And while having the different generators, we can have the cost effective solution because of that. Now, and another important point is that you can have the different tie lines of extra high voltage tie lines which interconnected the two or more generators. So you can say that interconnection is a very much important. That is, if suppose you want to have one generator which is very costly, so you can remove that generator and use some other generator. So that is Very important point of this interconnection. Now, next is the negative synergy of an interconnected power system. Now, okay, there are many advantages of this interconnected power system. So, can anyone can tell me what is the disadvantage of this interconnected power system? Can anyone can tell me what are the disadvantages of this interconnected power system? Yes, Ashish, can anyone tell me? Cost. You cannot say cost because if we have the different type of generators available, so we can use that type of generator where there is the minimum cost. We can select that. So any other? Faisal?
So we always, sir, I have read somewhere that we are facing difficulty in the frequency matching if we
Yeah,
interconnect the
you
systems.
can say that. Actually, what happens even in an interconnected system, because it's a very large system. If you see, very large system is there. So it is difficult to maintain the stability of that very large system. So since the system is very much large, so it is very difficult to maintain the stability of that. We have the large masses involved, means the large generators are there. So, and one more thing is that if the disturbance is there in the system, then it will propagate to whole of the system. If the disturbance is there in the system, in small part of the system, it will propagate to the whole of the system. If we are not protecting that system, it will propagate to whole of the system. And as a result, it will endanger the integrity of the this whole of the system. And there is the possibility of cascade tripping due to the this you can say the loss of stability. You have a large number of interconnected generators are there, and they start swinging with respect to each other because of this stability issue, and these are actually the undesirable effect, and sometimes the cascade tripping is there in this case. So since it's a large system, so it will this the whole of the problem is propagate to a whole of the system. Now, if you see that, and one more important issue is that the harmonic distortion propagate to the whole of the system. If the distortion, suppose we have no faults, but still we have the harmonics in the system, then it will propagate to whole of the system. It will not remain localized as in an isolated system. There is the possibility of the cyber attacks because of that, because everything is nowadays computer related. So we can say that this is the synergy of the negative type. Okay, we have the important points of an interconnection, but still this is the negative part of that. Suppose if some cyber attack is there, and definitely the whole of the system will be affected because of that. So these are actually some of the perils of this modern world. Now tell me, there is word harmonics. Can anyone can tell me that what are harmonics?
So harmonics are the terms which are, sir, unwanted terms which have frequency in the integral multiples of the fundamental frequency.
Okay, so how it is produced? How it is produced?
So harmonics are produced due to the distortion in the waveform, sir.
Now,
If
how
we
it
use
is?
sometimes we use our HVDC links, and we have to use rectifiers there. And with every power electronic device, we have harmonics related to that.
Okay. So if you see that, yeah, this much, he told that non-linear loads. Okay. So know from where it came. Okay. So harmonics, because of the nonlinear loads, if you see that you have any nonlinear load, suppose if you take the case of the diode. So diode is linear or nonlinear?
Non-linear, so.
It is nonlinear. So it means that we have the whatever we are getting, the voltage is distorted. If you take the case of the SCR, have you read about the power electronics? You have read about that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in case of the power electronics, if you see that you have a phi diode SCR, suppose at 30 degree you have a phi diode SCR. Okay. So suppose you have fired your SCR from here. So the now waveform what you are getting is linear or non-linear? So you are getting the distorted waveform, and because of the distorted waveform, what happens? Whatever it is coming from the supply, because everything is real time, it is also distorted. So because of that, so we can have effect of the harmonics everywhere, because it is not a pure waveform. It contains the this fundamental frequency and the harmonics of that. So how we can analyze the harmonics? Can anyone tell me that how the this harmonics in any waveform can be analyzed? How we can find out the harmonics? How
So
we can
using Fourier series, sir.
Yeah, we can use the Fourier series, and we can have, if any waveform can be represented by the sinusoidal with the fundamental frequency and its harmonics. So the harmonics have different effects, like if we have heating effects of that, it have distortion in the harmonics. If you see the inverter which is used at your home, so in that very case, you are having the humming sound, in that you are not getting the pure sinusoidal waveform. So it has undesirable effects because of the nonlinear loadings. Now, next we discuss the various states of operation of power system. So if you see, the power system is a dynamic entity. So because it shift from one region to another. So there are different states of the power system. This is the normal state. This is the alert state. This is the emergency state. This is the extreme state. Restorative state. Again, the normal state. And these states are also interconnected. So these are different states of the power system. You can say the power system is a dynamic entity. So its state is likely to drift from likely to drift from one state to another. And the one when the power system is stating it is in steady state, in that very case, it is said to be under the normal condition. And what happens under this state? Under the state, there is enough generation to meet the load, and the frequency is stable around the normal frequency, that is 50 hertz or 60 hertz, depending on whichever we are using. So this is the normal state. And one more thing, that one important point related to the normal state is that the reactive power balance is maintained in that very case between the generation and the load, and it will have the flat voltage profile. That is, it means that the voltage is within the limit. And however, you can say that it's a theoretical, you can have, it's a theoretical kind of a concept. You can say in the real world, you have a normal condition for some amount of time. However, you can have all the states, because power system is actually the dynamic entity. So in this case also, in the normal state also, the reactive balance is power balance is also maintained. So can anyone tell me that what do you mean by reactive power balance? Can anyone tell me that what do you mean by reactive power balance, and what is its importance? Yes, Rajneesh Kumar, can you tell me? What do you mean by reactive power balance? Abrar? Ayush?
No, sir. No.
Okay. Faisal?
No, sir, I don't know. Sorry, sir.
It means that if you see that the reactive power balance means that whatever the requirement of the reactive power is maintained. If you see, the reactive power plays a very important role in power system. Now tell me that what if, let us suppose that we are there is a lack of the reactive power, which parameter is affected? Which parameter is affected whenever there is the lack of reactive power? कौन सा parameter affect होता है?
So voltage maybe?
Yeah.
So power factor and the voltage.
Huh?
Power factor and voltage.
Yeah, power factor and the voltage. Because if you see in a power system, in the power flow equation, have you read about this equation? This power flow equation. Power, active power is tied to the this you can say theta angle, and the reactive power is tied to the voltage, because voltage depends upon the reactive power, and this theta depends upon the active power. So let us suppose that if there is the lack of the voltage at the lack of this reactive power at the load, let us suppose that we have the load and there is some requirement of the reactive power at that particular. There is the requirement of the reactive power that by this load. Now tell me what happens, because which parameter is affected? Because the requirement of the reactive power is there. So which parameter is affected? What would be the effect of that if there is a requirement of the reactive power? Tell me. Anyone?
So can you please repeat?
Let us suppose that we have the load, we have this diagram, we have the load, and there is a requirement of the reactive power at this load. Now tell me which parameter is affected? Which technical parameter is affected? How you know that there is a requirement of reactive power? What we observe that there is a requirement of reactive power? Anyone?
So we will have low power factor at the load.
Okay, we have that low power factor, and voltage will also be reduced, because if the voltage reduces, it means that the requirement of the reactive power is there, because in that very case, this is actually connected with the this reactive power is actually connected with this voltage, and if the voltage is less, in that very case, there is the deficiency of this reactive power. So definitely we can have the reactive power. Now, what we do for that requirement, what we do? Can anyone can tell me? For the requirement of reactive power, what we
Sir,
do?
we use reactive power, sir, compensation devices.
Okay, which device?
Sir, like we have static VAR.
Yeah, we can use the capacitors also, or we can. Have you heard about the FACT devices?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So there are different types of FACT devices. The flexible AC transmission. So there are different FACT devices. So you can use the different FACT devices for providing the reactive power locally. So what we do, we provide the reactive power locally, and as a result, if the reactive power is provided, then in that very case, the voltage will go up. Okay. Now, if we want to provide it through the generator, then what happens? If we want to provide through the generator, because generator is generated active and reactive power, if we want to provide through the generator, then what happens? Tell me. Is it possible? Is it possible? Yes, Ayush.
So the generator itself requires the reactive power for itself, sir.
No,
If
it is
we
required. We can have for generator. We can have the excitation system. We can increase the reactive power. We have the excitation system is there, so we can increase the by. There are two operations. One is governor, and second the excitation system. By governor, we can increase the active power. By the excitation system, we can increase the reactive power. Now, if we want to let this generator for the flow of this reactive power to this load, is it possible?
Sir, it is possible, sir, but there will be the problem, sir. Active power will be less from the generator then.
Okay, no, we can increase the active power. We can increase the governor settings. Okay, I will tell you what happens. That this flow of the reactive power require this difference in the voltage. Let's suppose the voltage V1 and the voltage V2. So V1 minus V2, greater be the difference in the voltage, greater be the flow of the reactive power. So to let the reactive power to the large amount of reactive power to flow, we have to maintain this large voltage difference, which is not practical. It means that the voltage is that is this voltage we have to reduce, so that is not possible. So what we do, you have to for the understanding this, you must know what are the expression of P. You must know the expression of the Q, the power flow, active power flow through the transmission line. That is V1, V2, like that, X sine of delta, and then reactive power. And you must have that for the flow of the reactive power, what would be the equation? You must know these equation for the analysis. So we will discussing about the different states. Now, first was the normal state. Now I was telling about the reactive power balance means that the reactive power is balanced. There is no requirement of the reactive power, and if the requirement is there, then we have the capacitors or FACT devices for that. And now the second one is the alert state. In the alert state, you will see that all the parameters are within the limit, but one disturbing event is there. For example, let us suppose that there is a storm and lightning is there, and which threatens, and you can say that put major extra high voltage line out of service. So from this state, you can say from the normal state, because of this storm, it will go to either to the alert state or to in extremis state. It is actually very dangerous state. It will go to alert state or the in extremis state, and as a result of major tripping after passing through this emergency state. Now, because of the thunder, what happens because of the thunderstorm? What happens that one of the major tie line, which is connecting the two areas, it will be out of a service and it will be in the alert state. However, the balance is maintained in that very case. Then it goes to this emergency state. Because of the emergency state, because of this outage of this tie line, it goes to emergency state. That is, some other tie lines are overloaded. There is the variation or frequency. The voltage profile is not flat. It is not within the limits, and it can lead to catastrophe. That it means that it can lead to very large, you can say, that whole of the blackout of the system. So it can, from the alert state is the first state, it can go to alert state. After that, it can either go to emergency state or in extremis state. In extremis means that there is the major tripping in the whole of the system. And in this emergency state, there is no tripping, but still the this voltage, frequency, these are out of bounds, and the loadings are there. Now the question arises that what this state has to do with the power system relaying. What these has to do with the power system relaying. If you see from these states of the power system, these actually, the states of this protective relaying actually affected by these states, and its fate is actually decided by the setting of the relays which are used to counter these states. The relaying settings must be such that that it can operate in a best possible way. It works on the anticipation of the faults. It is live, and it works in such a way that it can operate for best interest for the stability and the security of the system. So an operator or the protection engineer must know about the ground realities, and for implementing for all the ground realities, and for implementing that. So this protective this you can say that protection engineer must know these things. One more thing is that the whole of the protection system must not be complex. The protection system must not be complex, because as we are adding more and more complexity in the system, then in that very case the protection system is also complex. So we try to make the protection system as simple as possible. And nowadays, if you see, one challenge is this, that is the different states. Now, if you see in a power system nowadays we are having the different structure of power system. We are evolving. So there is a shift in the industry also. That is, previously the big players were having the monopoly of that. Big players have the monopoly, and however, there is a shift in the industry nowadays. The private players are coming into picture, and there is the phenomena which is known as the deregulation. Nowadays, previously it was under the government control, but it has been now deregulated, and as a result, there is no strict government control, a strict monopoly of one player in the system. And in some of the states, we will have the consumer has this choice from which company they have to take the power. For some of the foreign countries, if you see that they have the prepaid cards like that mobile cards, and they can easily do that. So it has many technical challenges also, because the relaying and engineer, it doesn't remain unaffected because of this industry. So we have to take these things also into consideration while developing any relaying system. So this is about the this states of the power system and what is the structure of this power system. Any questions? Any questions?